Hello and welcome everyone, my name is AdlerGG and this is a video for the new support meta that just arrived with the patch 7.29. And I think it is safe to say that position 5 is in a really good spot right now, as well as position 4. So playing support at the moment feels really good. And I want to hop straight into the new overbuffed / broken support heroes that emerged with the new patch.
If you like this type of content, go to gamersclass.com. For just $9.99 a month, watch masterclasses with pro players, join exclusive live sessions, and get 24/7 access to coaches and other high MMR players. Get full control of your ranked games and start owning with our Supreme Dota 2 membership.
So the first hero on the list is Wyvern, sitting at around 60% win rate according to Dota Pro Tracker right now. And this is simply because all of the heroes' laning stage problems have been addressed in the patch. So we have a little bit of base armor and we have a lower cooldown on Arctic Burn level 1, which allows us to lane a little bit more aggressive and not be completely useless for 50 seconds, because we sit at 42 seconds Arctic Burn cooldown on level 1 now, which means we have a lot more potential for plays at a faster rate during the laning stage. Another important side note is that Solar Crest got changed, so the item itself got nerfed, but the build up got a lot cheaper, which means it's very accessible right now for supports. Before that, it was not possible to buy Solar Crest on supports, especially not on a position 5, because the item was simply too expensive. You could basically just buy a 4-star for the ultimate orb component on its own. But now we have a way better build up, especially with the Wind Lace and early stats. So Solar Crest is an insane item now on supports, and Wyvern is one of the best supports with Solar Crest because we have nice synergy nuking into our ultimate using the Solar Crest. It is important to note that the core Wyvern gameplay which emerged in the last couple of months. We saw mid lane Wyverns, we saw off lane Wyverns, especially in pub environments, got a heavy blow because you cannot single target Winter's Curse that effective anymore, since single target Winter's Curse is broken after 2.5 seconds now, so core Wyvern is pretty much dead. The last thing on the list is the shard. So the shard got changed. Offensive wise it got nerfed a bit, but defensive wise the shard got buffed. So this is one more reason to play it on position 5. So overall, if you're not a Wyvern player, this is probably the best time since the hero got released to spam Wyvern on position 5. It's really strong, it's really nice to play, and you can feel the impact on the hero even in the laning stage already. Let's come to the next hero on the list, which is Grimstroke. It is important to mention that Grimstroke is basically the most picked hero in high MMR games according to Dota Pro Tracker. And even though it is one of the most picked heroes, it sits at 51% win rate on position 5, which is pretty good for high MMR games. The thing is, in my opinion, Grimstroke on position 5 is wasted potential at the moment, and it should be played on position 4. But if you're a decent Grimstroke player, it is a very solid option on position 5 to straight up carry games from position 5, but the win rate on position 4 is significantly higher, sitting at 54% win rate. But again, it is basically the most stable pick you can make right now on position 5. So what happened? Grimstroke was in a very bad spot for a very long time because it was overpicked in the competitive scene. for ages, and it got nerf after nerf after nerf, sitting at like 44 to 46% win rate for a year in pub environments, and basically no one was playing Grimstroke because it was simply too bad in pubs, and it was even in the competitive meta sometimes picked here and there, but with very, very bad results. Now we have an interesting change to the hero, because we got a little buff on Rend, so we have a bit more damage on our Phantom early on. But the most important change was the Aghanim's Shard. So the Shard will add a strong dispel to your Inkswell, and to say there's not that many strong dispels in the game. Basically like 3 strong dispels with our talents on Abaddon, Legion Commander and Oracle basically. And what we do is we buy the shard and we put Inkswell onto a hero, and when the Inkswell explodes it will apply a strong dispel to the hero, and it will also heal the hero that is Inkswelled when it explodes for 50% of the damage dealt. And it also increases the damage by 50%, which is kinda insane, because Inkswell will sit at around 600 damage then, and if it hits multiple units it should give multiple heal instances and applying the strong dispel afterwards. So if you have a melee hero that wants to YOLO in, you just put Inkswell on him, he runs in and he's pretty safe. So this is basically the biggest change, but the tempo of the game also changed a little bit, and this just favors Grimstroke because he's a really greedy hero. He wants a lot of XP and farm. The hero has insane scaling, insane talents, every point in every ability is super high value, and the games tend to go really late at the moment. I would say average match duration is like 40 minutes, so we reach pretty high levels, around level 20 in most games, and we acquire a lot of farm in this time, so Grimstroke feels really strong. If you can't play Grimstroke, I think now is the time to learn the hero, because it's basically back to former glory when the hero was introduced. Bane is also a very interesting hero right now. According to Dota Pro Tracker, it's one of the most successful position 5 picks you can do at the moment, sitting at 56% win rate in high MMR games. And I think it is safe to say that Bane is probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest, position 5 laning hero in the game. So if you want to make sure that you win your safe lane at all cost, Bane is basically your go-to pick. And in the previous patch, Bane had also a pretty good win rate in the higher MMR regions, but you rarely saw it. Because the problem with the hero was always that you can't farm after the mid game because you simply have no farming ability. And this problem got solved now because the shard got changed to make Brain Zap an AoE ability with 550 AoE. And this means we can easily farm creep waves and stacks after the 20-minute mark, which means we do not fall off in late game and especially ultra late game scenarios. So we are not a burden for the team anymore if the game gets dragged into the later stages. Another important note is that usually I do not recommend Bane, especially in the lower MMR regions, because of this farming problem, but now you can just straight go into the shard around the 20-minute mark. Once you accumulated enough gold, instantly pick up the shard and just start flash farming and try to carry the game. And also the buffs on the cast animations are pretty good, so the hero feels well-rounded at the moment, and this is a hero you want to learn. and probably also you want to master the hero, because sleep is an insane defensive ability. So the hero is well rounded when it comes to offensive capabilities as well as defensive capabilities with the sleep, but it's not the easiest to play hero because it requires good positioning, and the sleep is also not the easiest ability to use. So you want to play a few games and get used to all the abilities and cast points, but once you can play the hero, it feels really, really strong. Let's take a look at the broken position for heroes. And there is one hero that exceeded all expectations, which is Invoker on position 4. And when I saw the numbers, I couldn't believe it, but they're still stable. So Quasvex Invoker is sitting, according to Dota Pro Tracker, at 70% win rate played on the position 4 in high MMR games. And we are talking about 8 to 9k average games here, which is pretty bonkers, but this is what I expected when I saw the patch notes. And let me explain a bit why Invoker is so broken now. First of all, Invoker back in the days was like it is now. So whenever you skill an orb, you got stats according to the orb. So if you skill Quas, you get Strength. If you skill Vex, you get Agility. If you skill Exort, you get Intelligence. So all other heroes basically have to spend the points to get the additional attributes, but Invoker gets this for free by leveling the orbs. So the stat gain on Invoker is completely insane right now. The second thing is that back in the days, the trade-off for this stat gain was that Invoke had a pretty long cooldown. So level 1 Invoke had 12 seconds or even 18 seconds cooldown, and you basically had to put points into Invoke to lower the cooldown. So it was basically an ultimate ability, and to make it really short, so basically what it is in late game scenarios now, you needed an Aghanim's Scepter to lower the cooldown to the 2 to 4 seconds, depending if you had Octarine or not. So basically you have the old Invoker with the new buffed Invoke, which doesn't require Aghanim's Scepter anymore. So this is why the hero is completely broken at the moment. Also, the map changed a bit, and I think there's like more gold on the map because you get a bit more tick gold from the removed bounty runes, as well as the game feels farm heavy right now, so you can hit a lot of creeps on position 4 and you get super farmed. And as you can see in this game, I will hit like a 24-minute Aghanim Scepter timing for the additional Cataclysm here, and this is pretty standard in combination with the Spirit Vessel. So having these items at this timing is nothing special. So if you're not an Invoker player, but you're a position 4 player, now is the time to pick up the hero and play it until it gets nerfed, because I'm like 100% certain that in the near future we will see heavy nerfs on Invoker, because it is too broken in the current state. And for the core positions, mid-lane Invoker is also sitting at 53 to 55% win rate. So Invoker is super strong at the moment, but it sits at 70% win rate on position 4 right now. Another hero that is re-emerging is Bounty Hunter, and I think it is safe to say that Bounty Hunter is one of the most pesky heroes in the game to play against, especially during the early game when couriers get sniped and the rotations are on point. But why is Bounty Hunter so strong now? So according to Dota Pro Tracker, it's one of the most picked heroes in high MMR pubs, sitting at 55% win rate. And first of all, This is due to the fact that all overpicked position 4 heroes like Tusk and Earth Spirit that we saw frequently being picked up at the major have been nerfed heavily, and Bounty Hunter didn't get changed at all. He didn't get any buff on the spells or the hero itself, and I think Bounty Hunter was in an okay spot before the patch hit. It was playable, not in the competitive scene, but in a pub meta for sure it was played on position 1, 2, 3 and 4. We even saw some high MMR players on position 5 in the NA region being just really pesky. So since all other heroes got nerfed that I usually played on position 4, Bounty Hunter is strong now because it didn't receive any nerfs. Another thing is that Solar Crest got buffed really hard, and Solar Crest is an item that synergizes really well on a hero like Bounty Hunter because of the physical damage component he does. So getting an early Solar Crest on Bounty Hunter is really strong, and before that it was really hard to get a Solar Crest because the item was so expensive, but now you can easily buy it on a position 4 around the 15 to 18 minute mark. Another thing that is very crucial on Bounty Hunter is staying alive. So Bounty Hunter has a big problem when it comes to playing the hero, because his spell range on Shuriken Toss is really low, and one of his abilities requires you to hit stuff, and the Bounty Hunter is really squishy and gets blown up really easily. And with the change of the shard, one problem gets solved. Bounty Hunter is not squishy anymore once you get the shard, because if you're invis, you get a 40% damage mitigation during the Shadow Walk, and this will solve a lot of problems. So if you have to go in and throw a shuriken or maybe hit someone, you can just go in this, and it is really hard to bring you down after you pick up the shard. And the second thing is that Bounty Hunter gets a stun if he attacks out of the invis once he has the shard. And the interesting play here is that you can go for double stun, which means you can proc the Shadow Walk and then wait until the cooldown is ready again, and once it's ready you attack out of the invis, and during the stun you can instantly fade into another Shadow Walk and stun again, which means that you have reliable lockdown on the hero now, which was something that made Bounty Hunter, once BKBs were out, pretty lackluster, because generally speaking there are a lot of items that can counterplay a Bounty Hunter, but if you have a 2-second stun, if you initiate on someone, it's really hard to counterplay. So Bounty Hunter is a hero that you really want to start learning, because I think we will see a lot of Bounty Hunters now. The last hero on the position 4 list is Mirana. And now you might ask, why Mirana? So according to Dota Pro Tracker, Mirana is one of the most picked heroes in high MMR pubs right now, and it sits at a pretty heavy 56% win rate. The interesting part is that Mirana didn't get changed at all. There was no patch notes that buffed the hero, but again, every other overpicked position 4 hero in the game got nerfed. So Earth Spirit and Tusk especially, and I think it is safe to say that Mirana was playable before the patch. We saw a lot of Mirana games at a major. It even got first faced a few times. It is a good counter to Enchantress, for example. So Mirana had its place in the game, and it was picked frequently in the competitive scene with great success, I would say. We saw some in-game insane games played by Crit at the major with insane arrows, and there's a lot of setup in the game that allows arrows to hit, and you can also destroy most pushes by just arrowing the catapult. So Mirana was a really strong hero, and it was frequently picked, but it didn't get any nerfs. And all other heroes that were overpicked received nerfs. And just by this fact, Mirana is really good now. A few side notes that I want to mention is we saw some buffs on the mechanism, so we might see a few mecha pickups here and there because of the mana cost reduction. As we can see in this game, the Mirana has a mech in her inventory, but I think it is safe to say that we will still see Yules into a Gundam Scepter in most games, which is just too strong, or we might see a few Guardian Greaves pickups here and there when you need the Dispel versus a Global Silence, for example, or you just play a pushing lineup. But generally speaking, Mirana is in a really good spot right now, and I think most position 4 players can play Mirana anyway, because it was in the meta for such a long time and it was frequently picked. But I think now it's time to learn Mirana, because the hero is in a good spot, and I don't think it will receive that many nerfs. So that's it for the meta report. I think the patch is great for supports, and I hope that most support players feel the same. If you still need time to adjust, no problem. But in my opinion, playing support is really fun at the moment compared to the stall old meta. There's a lot of options right now, a lot of fun builds, and there's a lot of stuff that can still be figured out. But I think it is safe to say that the heroes mentioned here have their place in the current meta, and they're close to being broken, if not completely broken. So my name is AdlerGG, and thanks for watching.